This Monday, my birthday, when I was just finishing up my live Mayday Monday stream that I do every Monday. You should check that out. It's at 8 a.m. every Monday, where we actually did a deep dive into another owner that was under fire recently for his lack of success. And I received not one, not two, but 3 separate emails, all cluing me in on the fact that John Fisher has just released a letter to the fans that he wrote himself. Now, if you weren't already aware, this is the same John Fisher that I may have mentioned during my retirement speech a year ago. Anyway, here's actually a little reenactment of what it looked like when I saw the emails. Oh. To be honest, over the past year, it has been a little bit easier to forget the role that John has played in this whole fiasco with the Oakland A's leaving Oakland for Sacramento and then eventually going to Las Vegas. He is usually so good at playing hide and seek that we just don't have to think about him very often because he doesn't really like to put himself in the crosshairs of the public. But then he does something like this. And frankly, it's a pattern of behavior that just doesn't make any sense to me and not many other people. Now, this isn't the first time that he's done something like this, but I, as I'm sure many of you feel the same way, am sick of these half-assed attempts at extending an olive branch to soften how people feel about him. It's just obnoxious at this point. And yes, I couldn't help it. I had to respond in the best way that I knew how, via Twitter. But before we get into the letter and break it down a little bit, make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you never miss a video in the future. And if you could, go down in the comments, put any emoji that has some sort of food item in it. Because since I've retired, I am fat and I'm trying to not be fat anymore. And if you guys could remind me that food is bad, that would go a long way. And also, I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year because you get this cool little plaque that says you have 100,000 subscribers on a YouTube channel. And I need that for my self-worth because I don't play baseball anymore. Anyways, here is the letter supposedly written by John Fisher and a brief summary for you because it's kind of long and I don't want to read you like an entire essay on a YouTube video. You can read it yourself in detail if you want. To our Oakland Athletics fans, this upcoming series with the Texas Rangers will be the final games of the A's storied 57 years in Oakland. And while the A's previously played in Philadelphia and Kansas City, Oakland has been home for the greatest era in the franchise's more than 123-year history. It then goes on to list a bunch of accomplishments by the team, a bunch of players, namely Ricky Henderson, 17 division titles, 4 World Series. Then he goes on to explain his part of the story. So if you notice here, the first couple paragraphs are to act like he is a A's fan when he is not. This has been proven time and time again by his lack of knowledge of the team, which I will get into in a moment, and tries to paint this picture that he came in good faith with the intention of improving the team when he came aboard. Now, none of that has come to pass in any way, shape, or form. There's nothing he could point to that is better now than before he took over. And then, in classic John Fisher fashion, we get into the woe is me, it's not my fault portion of our program, where maybe he dictated it, or maybe he just said, make sure you include this so people feel bad for me. The section in which I'm referencing is only in 2021, after 16 years of working exclusively on developing a home in the Bay Area and faced with a binding MLB agreement to find a new home by 2024, we did begin explore taking the team to Las Vegas. And then we have the end section here. There are millions of dedicated and passionate A's fans in Oakland and all around the world. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you so much for everything you've done. Without actually saying thank you, there's actually not a single thank you in here, which is mind-boggling if you think about it. But my favorite part is, though I wish I could speak to each one of you individually, I can tell you this from my heart. We tried. It was our mission and we failed to achieve it. And for that, I am genuinely sorry. The end there is the closest we get to an apology. And then it's signed at the bottom, just John Fisher, with no other signature. They didn't even include a fake signature. I want you to know about 3 major sections that I had the most problem with and that prompted my burning desire to yell at him. So first thing is that he wrote this letter and that he knows Ricky Henderson, Dave Stewart, Raleigh Fingers. He knows who they are and could point them out. Yes, he might be able to do one or two of them, but I know for a fact if he tried to name more than 5 players on the team right now, he probably couldn't do it. How do I know that? There was a picture circulating last year from a puff piece that he was going to do talking about the move and the team. And in preparation for that, he wrote down 3 names on a pad of paper, including the manager's name. If you need to write down the names of players on your own team, that's not a good sign. There's also another story that really locks this in for me. I have it on good authority that in the recent past, there has been a run-in between John and a legend for the team that he owns, in which he heard that the legend was involved with baseball and said, "Oh, hi, oh, you played baseball? I own the A's." To which the guy said, "I was an A." "Oh, haha, I knew that." He did not know one of these men when they were sitting right in front of him while he owned the team. If that's not a prime example of John Fisher not being plugged in to his team or being a true baseball fan, I don't know what is. That is okay to an extent. The problem I have is the lying and acting like that's not the case. It is the case. Stop trying to act like you are someone you are not. The second point that I would like to address: we tried our best, but our hands are tied. I'm sorry. No, you didn't. That is a lie, and I'll tell you why. First of all, moving a team has so many moving parts. There's all these really big, complicated negotiations happening with local governments and huge amounts of money that need to come from somewhere and need to go somewhere and need to be timed right. And there's all these things that we will just never know about. It won't be public. There's no way to know unless one of the two parties comes out and gives the details. And unfortunately, the incentive for those two parties is to spin it to make them seem like they're the one in the right and the other one is in the wrong. But there are a couple details that will help you understand what he means when he says binding agreement with the MLB to have somewhere to be by 2024. It says that in this quote. What that is referring to is the end of the Coliseum's lease is not something that the league wants to be looming. They don't want any team to not know where they're going to be playing at any given time. They want these matters resolved before the end of the lease so there's no lag time. That makes a lot of sense. But it creates a deadline that John could then use in 2 ways. One, as leverage to get what he wants, to get a better deal, to say, hey, we're going to leave if you don't give me what I want. 2, you can constantly move the goalpost so that deal never happens, so that you have the perfect built-in excuse to move the team. Well, here's a prime example. The original proposal for the Howard Terminal project included $855 million of taxpayer money. This is government money. This isn't the whole project. This is just money from the taxpayers. To put this in perspective, in 2009, the Minnesota Twins built Target Field in downtown Minneapolis. That whole project cost $435 million, and only $260 million of that came from a sales tax increase of 0.15% for the people of Minnesota. That whole project is just over half of what John was asking for the government to cover. That is incredible. It also included a bunch of developed land around the stadium so that he could continue to expand his businesses. I'm sure it would just be surrounded by Eric's boot brands and Gap stores and some other probably restaurants that he owns all around the stadium. That's what he wanted, and he wasn't able to get the amount of money he wanted to get. Howard Terminal was locked down, and the city offered $375 million. Again, that's over $100 million more than Minnesota. Why didn't that work out? Maybe because they were $500 million apart. If he thought that $855 million was going to be covered by any city, that would be the highest number ever. So, of course, the added benefit is, oh, there's no way they'll take this, but I can also say it's their fault because they didn't take it. That's pretty convenient, and by all accounts, that's much of what happened. And the last lie that I simply cannot handle is, I wish I could speak with each one of you individually. What? John, you're literally writing a letter so that you don't have to speak with anyone individually. What are you talking about? If you wanted to speak to every person individually, you would go to the stadium, stand on the concourse, and say, hey guys, come talk to me. I'm willing to listen. Did you do that? No. Have you been to the stadium? I don't know. Nobody knows because you don't tell anybody. People don't do that when they are willing to stand up and own their decisions in front of people that they have hurt in some way or that feel hurt by them. And for you to end this abomination of a letter that was clearly written by your PR team and not you is just annoying. It's annoying. Just do less. I think that's what everyone would prefer at this point. You're moving the team's moving. Okay. But for you to try to go and be like, hey guys, I tried, and also I wish I could make it better, but I can't. You could have made it better, John. You could have taken less than what you wanted, but at the end of the day, your entire world revolves around winning deals and showing how good of a businessman you are, and that's where we are now. Just own it. Other billionaires do it. It's never going to have any consequences anyways, so just own it. A's fans will never like you. It's over. You did it. It happened. There are business decisions involved. Now, I don't believe that every single thing you do needs to be in that spirit. You don't have to just only try to increase your net worth until what? Till you don't anymore? I don't understand. I don't know what the end game is. That is his prerogative, and that's just the world we live in. I can understand that. But what I will not abide by and will not just sit and listen to is faking as if you're one of us or one of the people that you're hurting. It's insulting. It's disrespectful, and it just makes everything worse, and no one wants to listen to it. And the last big thing is just how dishonest it is. John has this thing where he thinks that all he has to do is just get you a gift. You get really big energy of like, oh, I forgot our anniversary, just get her some flowers. That's not caring. That's just bare minimum. Prime example of this is the day I walked into the clubhouse last year and there were a pair of cowboy boots. Anyone who wears nice cowboy boots knows the quality of cowboy boots that are $100. Okay. They're all sitting in our lockers, no letter, no explanation why we get them. But one thing that had just happened was the announcement to go to Vegas had happened the day before. Here's some cowboy boots from the company that I own. I told someone to go back into the warehouse, get a bunch of boots, guess your sizes, and give them to you. The fact that he thought that that was going to be seen as an endearing, nice thing to do shows the type of person he is, and is not surprising one bit. It would have pissed me off less had he just done nothing, because it would have at least aligned with who he is. He's a bad owner from a traditional standpoint. He's not good at building a team. He's not good at building an organization, and he doesn't give the people below him the resources or the freedom to do the things necessary in order to continue moving the team forward. They win despite him, not because of him. And he believes that he's a good person and he's just misunderstood because he is entitled to do the things that he does because he's a billionaire and has been since the moment he was born. If you don't have that context for not being a billionaire, there's a little bit of empathy for that too. He is a human being at the end of the day. However, you cannot say you're a good person when you consistently avoid talking to or acknowledging any of the people that you affect regularly with your large economic decisions. You wield a lot of power, and if with that power came humility and courage, then people would be much less likely to eviscerate you every time you do everything. But you don't do those things, and so you don't deserve the respect that you constantly are trying to get. I hope that things get better, and I hope maybe some of this stuff gets taken to heart, because I don't think it's productive just to rail against somebody constantly, even though that is what I'm doing. I'm making a YouTube video. That this is a character issue more than it is an ownership issue for me at this point. Just let the people grieve, let them deal with it the way they need to deal with it, and they don't want to hear from you. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time. I'm gonna go be sad downstairs. Okay, bye.